Welcome to the Miami Sports Vibes YouTube channel. Here discussing and recapping another Dolphins loss. Unfortunately, coming off the bye week, losing to the Indianapolis Colts on the road by a final score of 16-10. Listen, man, wow. What a disappointing, gut-wrenching game to watch. What looked like Miami was in full control was just, recovered, refreshed after that bye week. Seemed to be like they had a good game plan going in, which was run the football, feed Mostert, feed A-Chan coming back from his concussion, give a little bit of Jalen Wright, Tyler Huntley also running the ball. And the game plan was simple: run the ball down Indianapolis's throat. And that is what they should have done. And that's what they had to do. And that's what they did do. But unfortunately, the Dolphins get in the way of themselves. And they unfortunately lose the game. And I feel like we beat ourselves, which is just as disappointing as ever. The Colts obviously given the most rushing yards to opposing running backs heading into this game. So it was simple to me that Miami was just going to run the football. And they got off to a 10-0 lead. So everything seemed to be going in the right direction. But obviously, giving up a field goal right before halftime where, Miami's playing back. It's like you're in control this whole game. Your defense is playing good. Your offense is obviously not eye-popping, but it's getting the job done, which is running the ball. You're maintaining time of possession. I thought the time of possession game was awesome from the Dolphins, but just shying away and not getting into the half aggressively, letting Michael Pittman catch that big time catch, leading the Colts to scoring a field goal before the halftime. I thought that was big, man. You could have been up at half 10-0. I had a feeling that was going to come back and haunt us. And obviously, being that the game was so close as it ended up being, it did. Obviously, you ended up leading 10-3 at halftime. But even at the half, you look at the halftime stats, the Dolphins seem to be playing a better brand of football than the Indianapolis Colts. Obviously, running more plays. I mentioned earlier, dominating time of possession in that first half, picking up more first downs, as you see. The third down efficiency, 4 of 8 for Miami, as opposed to 2 of 6 for the Indianapolis Colts. They had more passing yards in the first half, which was nice to see, and the rushing yards, which was obviously what we were trying to do. As you see, rushing attempts, 25 for the Miami Dolphins and 15 for the Colts, but only 11 passing attempts. So finally, you see Mike McDaniel doing what this whole damn fan base has been asking for, and it is run the freaking football. But I did mention on my stream earlier, I said, listen, the keys to the game to beating the Indianapolis Colts are simple. You want to make sure you run the ball because they're giving up a ton of yardage, to running backs. You want to make sure that you don't beat yourself coming off a bye week. What do I mean by that? Obviously, limiting turnovers that are your fault, and obviously limiting penalties, because that happens all the freaking time, especially when you're coming off a bye week. Make sure you don't beat yourselves. And what did they do? They beat themselves. It's simple. So at the half, the Dolphins picking up 5 penalties for 45 yards. You don't like to see that. The Dolphins defense picking up a turnover from the Colts and then having 0 turnovers at the half. But then the second half, things changed. In the second half, things change. As you read off the stats here, in the first half, A-Chan had it going with 59 yards on 11 carries. Love to see that. Mostert, second game back from his injury, 8 carries for 31, and Huntley 5 carries for 20. I mentioned also before, isn't Tyler Huntley a running quarterback? Why aren't we running the ball with Tyler Huntley? That's a thing that I just don't understand. And, at least we got to see that today. Jonnu Smith was also probably his big time target, his favorite target, obviously catching a touchdown, 56 yards and a touchdown at the half. Ingold got a touch for 25 yards. Odell Beckham, 2 targets, no catches. And then as you see, no touches for Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle in the first half. No targets, no touches. It's like, damn, you want to say damn, what do we have to lose by throwing a couple deep balls to either one of these guys? I thought from the very beginning, it looked like Miami was playing not to lose, and I absolutely hate that. I understand sticking to the script where you're trying to run the ball, but my thing is I'm just tired of seeing for the last couple of weeks since Tua's been out, is Miami is simply playing a game where they're trying not to lose as opposed to win. It's where's the aggressiveness? You got Tyreek, you got Jalen Waddle, and I feel like you're not even utilizing. It's they're not even in your team. And it's damn, so you mean to tell me that only Tua can get these guys the ball? even after a bye week where you had so much time to work on that connection, work on something that you could bring out here to produce and show us on Sunday against the Colts. And they failed to do so. I thought that was a big disappointment. Like, I love what I saw from the running game, and I love that Mike McDaniel was sticking to the run. But the fact that you had no production from Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle with Huntley or Boyle after all of that time in preparation, I mean, come on now, man. I thought that was absolutely disgusting. And like I mentioned, right before the half, obviously giving up all that yardage to lead the Colts getting into a field goal when you could have been up 10-0 means big time. The second half, it was a disaster from there. Raheem Mostert fumbles the football, gives it to the Colts right there. The Colts take advantage. They score a touchdown. The game is tied. Alec Ingold later on ended up fumbling the football as well. And we were constantly making mistakes where I go ahead and say, I look back at my preview stream and I said, wow, the Dolphins are going to not have to beat themselves. But if you look at it, they literally beat themselves. What do I mean by that? Obviously, giving up the field goal right before the half. Why are you playing so back? And why are you kind of giving that up? Like, yo, play aggressive, finish strong, take a 10-point lead at the half. Did fail to do so. Next time, Raheem Mostert in the red zone, fumbling the football. All right. Like, fumbling the football. All right. Sorry, Ingold did that. But Mostert fumbled and then gave them possession. So now you got 3 points gifted to you from the Dolphins. And then you got the touchdown gifted to you because we can't control the football. So giving up the football, all right, giving up field goals. What happens? Jason Sanders missing a field goal. It's like constant things. And what happens after that? They then get their own field goal. All of these things, all of the plays where the Colts ended up scoring were literally capitalization from our own mistakes. The Miami Dolphins beat themselves today. That's what I saw. The Dolphins beat themselves today. All right. Their script was simple. Let's run the football. Let's pound it down their throats. Let's play not to lose and play not as aggressive as I would like them to be. Let their defense take over, which the defense did another good job. I mean, they were on the field for a very long time, but the defense constantly made so many plays and put the offense in position, but the offense just didn't get going. And besides the running game, and it's a disaster to see. You saw Huntley go down with the injury. Of course, that's just what happens for the Dolphins. Another backup quarterback comes in. What is that? Quarterback number 4 at this point? And, you kind of saw the ball moving a little bit. And at the end of the day, the Dolphins had a nice little 2-minute drill to get down the field. And it wasn't enough. Saw Tyreek finally get the ball a couple times. And, the clock runs out, a bonehead scenario where you throw it to Achane like behind the line of scrimmage, and then he ends up getting tackled right there. You have to spike the ball. It's 4th down. And then on 4th down, Boyle just throws it out of bounds. I mean, goddamn, at least put it inbound, even if it's an interception. I mean, make it look like something that the Dolphin fans can at least say, like, all right, we'll take that loss. Like, it's just the Dolphins beat themselves. And it's frustrating because you had an opportunity here to be 3-3, be second place in the division with your quarterback number 1 and Tua coming back. I mean, that would have been golden to come back with Tua against a game against Arizona at 3-3, with a record of 3-3 in second place. That would have been nice. But now Tua's coming back to some high pressure situation. All right, you're 2-4. You're right there with the Jets. Maybe they'll win tonight against the Steelers. I assume that they will. They'll be 3-4. So you'll be a game probably behind them at the end of this day, heading into next week. And I'm just disappointed because at the end of the day, after the bye week, the Dolphins came in here with the same type of mentality that we saw since Tua went down. And that's alarming. Did we see a couple things differently? Absolutely. But at the end of the day, the non-aggressiveness was there. The lack of aggression was there. The lack of deep shots was there. The lack of connection between the quarterback and a prime player like Tyreek Hill wasn't there. And playing not to lose, playing scared. And also Mike McDaniel, yet again, mismanaging his timeouts, just wasting timeouts. Remember, we burned a timeout on 4th and goal because this guy's just not ready. Preparation, beating yourselves. If you had a timeout in that 2-minute drive, just one, maybe things are a little bit differently. Maybe the Dolphins walk out with a win. Maybe the Dolphins win 17-16. You start to think if you had that one timeout And you probably would have used it right there when Achane got tackled. Would have gave you 2 chances with about 30 seconds on third down. Maybe things are different. And it was 3rd and 2, by the way, which is a very manageable first down to get with 2 tries and not the time and without the time running. So you just think. And at the end of the day, it's pure frustration. Pure frustration. Here are the stats to end the game. Tyler Huntley finished with 87 passing yards and a touchdown. Like I said, that's just not getting it done coming off a bye week. I mean, I don't like it. Boyle comes in relief, 8 for 13 himself with 74 yards. Achane with only 4 carries in the second half, which is just mind-boggling to me. Raheem Mostert with only 3 carries in the second half, so he finishes with 11 for 50. Jalen Wright, I like to see that he was involved, 5 for 33, but I would still like him to get the ball more. You know, Achane, like I said, finished with 15 for 77. So the Dolphins did run the ball 40 times, which you do like to see. Pass attempts were at 26, but I still think at the end of the day that we could have ran the football more in the second half. I kind of saw him get away from that a little bit. Now, maybe because you're playing from behind, but at the end of the day, the game was still manageable. The game was still in reach. You know, there were still some questionable play calling out there. There was still, you know, the lack of preparation, you know, burning timeouts in the first half, burning a timeout in the second half, which ultimately cost you. Jonnu Smith, I thought he had a nice game, 7 catches for 96 yards and a touchdown. Very nice to see him catch all 7 of his targets. Jalen Waddle, 1 catch for 11 yards on 2 targets. And then Tyreek, 1 catch for 8 yards on 2 targets. That is disgusting. It's disgusting. It is disgusting. I mean, it's point blank, period. I mean, you won the rushing battle, all right, with 188 to the Colts' 155. You won the passing battle with 149 yards to 129. You beat them in yards per play. You beat them in total yards. You ran more plays. You dominated time of possession. You had the ball longer than they did. But it all came down to what? Your 6 penalties versus their 4, and your 2 turnovers, fumbling the football to their 1. Your missed kick by Jason Sanders and giving up that field goal before half. The Miami Dolphins clearly beat themselves. You guys, if you're watching this and you're going to watch Mike McDaniel's presser, I don't even want to hear a damn word that he says. So good luck to you guys. But this is frustrating. Bright things to look ahead is plain and simple. Tua is set to come back next week against the Arizona Cardinals. You're 2-4. You know, the Jets are not that far ahead of you. You know, at this point, they're right there tied until their game Sunday night. So worst case scenario, they're 1 game above you, and you have 2 games against them. Fairly easy schedule. You know, the bright side is you're probably going to see Hill and Waddle get back to those, you know, what we're used to seeing. But it's a damn shame, honestly. Even if Tua comes back and delivers, which we all hope that's what's going to happen, and we expect that to happen. I certainly do. I don't think we're going to be seeing this type of football. But to me, it's just disgusting. It's disgusting that this GM has failed to sign a quarterback that's competent enough to kind of get a solid job and a solid performance on the field. And it is a bad look on Mike McDaniel coming off the bye week to put that disgusting thing on tape there. It's flat, simple. Mike McDaniel and General Manager Chris Grier have absolutely let us down, especially over these last couple weeks without Tua. I mean, it is sad that you have to rely on Tua this much to put a decent product on the field for us fans to watch. They let us down. But we flipped the page. Tua's back next week. You got Arizona next week. You're 2-4. And we shall see how it goes. Preview stream will be on Tuesday on my YouTube channel, guys. Hit the thumbs up button. Support the channel if you may. Also, comment below how you're feeling, Dolphin fans. This was a tough one. Brutal stretch without Tua. But only positives is flat, simple. Tua's back. Tua's back, and pressure's on. So stress is going to be up there, but thank goodness Tua's coming back, because I cannot even deal with watching this type of disaster for the rest of the season. So thankfully he's not out for the year. Thankfully he's back. Arizona next week. Let's see how the Dolphins bounce back. Thanks again for tuning into the channel. Hit the thumbs up button and subscribe, and I'll catch you guys next week. Dolphins lose 16-10. Arizona next week. You got to bounce back.